Today, I want to tell you a story. It's the story of a book, and according to the story in this book, it concerns the history of everything going back some 12 billion years. That's a 12 with 9 zeros after it, so it's not a mispronunciation. It is billion, not million. Now, someone will say straight away, but wait a minute, the universe is only 4 billion years old. How can the story go back 12 billion? Well, according to the story in the book, there was God contemplating creating order out of nothing. And there came the anti-God who said, no, you cannot have order. I want chaos. I want random. No order at all. Now, God being God, didn't fight against the anti-God. He worked out how to solve the problem. And incidentally, if you're one of these people who have still caught up in this belief that God doesn't exist, I put a link down below here to the video I posted a few years ago now, showing the scientific evidence for the existence of God. So what he did was he incorporated, and I say he, I mean he, she, because this separation into male-female is just a thought. It's nothing to do with reality. Each of us is both, which is why in some incarnations we decide to express the male form and in others the female form. So we experience both aspects of ourselves. And God built the machinations of the anti-God into his creation, which is why we have creation, regeneration, putrefaction. Everything turns over. He used the anti-God to create evolution, change, reacting to that which seeks to destroy. And in this way, he was able to create the universe in which we presently have our existence. And it's quite interesting reading in the Bible, and I quote the Bible because that's the best known here in the Western world. It's by no means the only one that says exactly the same thing. God said, "Let there be light," and lo, there was light. Astrophysicists call it the Big Bang. But it was out of nothing, light was created. And then if you follow the story of Genesis, you see in the correct sequence how all other things were created, which is very, very interesting. How did they know so many thousands of years ago that that is the order in which things were created? Things that we can today think we can prove. How did they know then? So, what the anti-God then did, he caused a book to be written. And this book contained other things, his name, and the names of the lords of darkness. And if you get this book in your hands, it will drive you insane, literally. But so insane that you won't notice. And this is what has happened. Some people have come across the book, they've read it, and they have become insane. But they've also generated a lot of personal power. This is what happens when you get this book in your hands. You become very powerful. You become insane. And then you become dead. In a relatively short time. Now, some whom I have good reason to believe have read this book are George Soros, Bill Gates, possibly Angela Merkel. There are others. Well, all you see is they're at that level of controlling society, and they're all hell-bent on destruction. Bill Gates wants to more than decimate the world population. He actually wants to kill 7 billion people, or 7.2 billion people to be precise. So there are only just 500 million people left alive as his personal serfs. You've seen how Angela Merkel over the last 10 years has done her utmost to destroy everything that means anything to the German people. You've seen how George Soros has used his wealth to destroy whole countries, and then blamed those countries for being victims. You know, this is the sort of insanity we're dealing with. But there's one very, very important point here. These people form a very, very tiny minority. Maybe 200-300 of them on the entire planet. It is your belief in their power which enables them to do what they're doing. And at the moment, they've got, well, a fairly large proportion of the world's population convinced that there is some sort of deadly disease raging. And of course, it's becoming daily, almost hourly, clearer that this disease doesn't actually exist. It's all propaganda. It's all hot air. There's nothing behind it whatsoever. And not only are people in general seeing it, even the people who are entrusted with the task of suppressing the people aren't doing it. They're joining in the demonstrations. They are protecting the demonstrators. They're ignoring their orders to break up the demonstrations. That's how bad things have got for the people who read this book and have become so insane that they believe that they own the world and own humanity. They don't. And it's up to us, you and me, to show them. Now, I've shown you in part 1 of Messiah how to do this. You use your heart knowledge. You move from your heart. In part 2, I showed you how to use the energy of wrath to stop them. Divine wrath. Stop! You know who these people are. I've named a few. Stop them. Thank you. Namaste.